This one is one of the great sort of rising insects that just make the fish go absolutely mental, usually from the midsummer to the end of the season. But we also have an early season one called the granum, and it's a sedge. And the great thing is these flies are great searching patterns, but they'll also provide you with a lot of success for fish hiding close to trees on warm summer evenings. And I call this particular one the all season sedge. And the reason for that is it isn't particularly focused on one type of sedge. It's just there to imitate a whole manner of them, and it's sort of my first go-to when you know that the fish might be on them. And then if you start getting refusals, then you might start chopping and changing and looking at slightly different sedges going forward. We're back on a size 14 SLD. Actually we're on size 12. So you'll really tie these from a 10 through to a 16 or even 18. We're on the black Nano silk 18.0, and we'll take the thread back. There's nothing complicated with the body here. All it is about creating volume, and we've gone back to our African goat dubbing of before in that Canadian brown leech, but you'll want to vary this up. You might want some grey bodied ones, you might want some quite almost fluorescent greens, just a standard olive, but you can vary it up. Some sandy coloured ones are always useful as well. So we've dubbed on a reasonable amount, and unlike an olive where the body tapers, a caddis body is actually quite bulky all the way along. It's a really kind of grub-like body, so you're not looking to get that taper in. You're just looking to build it up quite a lot at the back and work it forward. And the reason why I like this dubbing is because it offers extra buoyancy. By having all these fibres spilling off in all different directions, it means that it traps a lot of air on top of the surface. So even in the fastest, most turbulent water, you'll have a good, steady dry fly, remaining quite pronounced on top of the water. Make sure you leave yourself a decent amount of space at the front there. Let's see that all nice body shape taking up. Now we go back to our old faithful, the CDC. You want three quite long feathers with big draping fibres for this, and we'll always pair. You'll notice how they're always in threes, and we'll match those all up, and this time it faces back, and you want it to overshoot the bend of the hook. So a caddis wing is longer than its body, and it sits back like a tent over its body, which is why you want quite long fibres, so they sort of envelope that hook. Trap it down and tie it in. You want to put a little bit of pressure on there to hold it all in. Just stroke that back so you can put a couple of locking turns in. You don't want to put any locking turns in underneath there. You want to leave that, otherwise if you put locking turns in, it will bring the whole wing forward. And again, like we do on the olive, but just in reverse, we'll cut that long, so we've got this bushy furry head. You'll notice, particularly on like a lot of moths, but also on caddis they've got a very furry bit around the head area. They also have antennae. I don't think it's necessary to tie antennae in. I don't think it makes the fish take the fly any differently. It's more just for catching the angle of that. Right, what I'm doing now is taking those fibres that we just cut and actually pinching out some of the fibres, because what I'm going to do is use those to dub in and create the thorax. So it's good use of a material that you'd generally just throw away. So a nice thing with pinching them out is they're quite furry. They give you these long straddly hairs that will stick out, and then you can pull that forward, and so you've got that wing that's just sat over the body, the furry head area. And so what you can do to evolve this fly is start putting deer hair on top if you want it more buoyant. You can leave a little bit more room at the front to put a hackle on, and that will offer you more buoyancy. And also you can look to add a high vis section in on top, and that will allow you to see it in low light conditions. So lengthen that off, and we're going to go in with the whip finish tool and just start securing that off, and go in once more and secure that down. And that right there is the All Season Sedge, and that rounds off our final fly of the evening. For simple flies, for better river success,